If your portfolio is over $250,000 and you aren't hedged, you are sitting on a ticking time bomb. Markets are at all-time highs, but history shows, you know what comes next: volatility and increased risk. A 10% allocation to gold and silver can help hedge uncertainty and protect your wealth. Noble Gold Investments makes it easy to hedge your portfolio with institutional-grade gold and silver. Right now, every qualified investment will receive a free 10-ounce gold coin and protect your portfolio today. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com.
Thank you. Hi. Good to see you.
How about Greg Gutfeld, everybody?
Thank you. You know, I expected more pyrotechnics.
You know, as you see, we're downsizing. At
I
Turning
want
Point
somebody
USA.
to lose a finger when I come out.
Isn't Greg the best? I watch him almost every night, I'll tell you.
Stop it. Stop it. You crazy kids. I wonder if, has anybody here ever seen Red Eye? Oh. I was just wondering how old you were because that was the first show. It was
No hands went up around here.
I know, they're going, what?
This is student sections right up.
Yeah, they're going like, you mean the movie Red Eye?
Or, yes. So Greg, I know there's a lot going on in the news. Obviously, the most important thing that you want to talk about is the fact that we no longer have to take our shoes off at the airport when we fly on planes.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the most important news of the week.
Yes. I like the fact that I can keep my shoes on and take my pants off. No, it's crazy. Every day is good news. It's like 365 days of Christmas. And once in a while you get something that's you're not happy about, but the whole package is amazing. It's like the election of Trump is like you wanted your parents to buy you a car for your 16th birthday, and you got the car, but maybe it's not the right color, so you stop whining. This is like the best thing that's ever happened to our political system in ages.
And Greg, you made a really good point backstage, which is, look, there's disagreements in our movement and people are fighting back and forth, but you look at this as a positive of an attribute of a movement that has strength.
This is a party, this is a movement that is so transparent that even their cover-ups are transparent. They're not even trying. It's like everything that you've seen is one collective wink. It's like, dude, yeah, we get it. Epstein was probably a honeypot operation, but it's like a CIA thing. It sucks. But the way I look at it is that, again, with the Christmas analogy, you got everything you wanted. You're not going to get everything, but you're going to get to see how it's made, and what's going on. You may not know who's stopping that, but what's important for you to know is right now the Democrats, this is all they have. All they have is the conflict that's going on the other side. So they are like, you'll notice certain alignments happening where all of a sudden CNN is now covering Epstein. Didn't do it before. And you'll start seeing these like liberal alignments because they want the fractions. They want people to break apart. You don't want to give them that. So even when there's certain things that are happening that are upsetting to you, you have to step back, look at the big picture. Don't lose sight of the changes that you're experiencing and how together, I have to take umbrage with Tucker Carlson.
Go ahead.
All right, whom I love. When he said that the getting boys out of girls' sports was an appetizer, well, hell, I could eat appetizers all day. That to me is a really big deal. And you got to understand, I was talking about the issue of transgenderism and boys and women's sports when people weren't talking about it. And I was getting a lot of crap for it. People kept asking me, why do you keep bringing this up? Why do you keep bringing this up? And I say, because you compel me to. I don't want to think about this. This was never on my agenda. But the moment pronouns came out, I realized, wait, you're compelling me to think a certain way. And that's a line you can't cross. You may think it's a side issue, but the bigger issue is compelling you to obey. That was it. So the appetizer, you got to eat that appetizer to get to the main course. Or you can take all the appetizers and make a main course. That to me was probably the big issue for me. One of the biggest hoaxes of our time, the idea that there are trans kids that you need to operate on, which 10 years from now, 20 years from now, there will be people that will be embarrassed to even admit they believed it. They will act like it never happened.
Well, and not only that, there are detransitioners here at this event. I think Chloe Cole is here somewhere, and it's not an insignificant portion of the population. And by the way, to your kind of analogy about President Trump and the good he's doing in his administration, Greg, we need to make it a goal, hopefully by the end of this administration, we are going to end every gender-affirming care clinic and child butchery in this country. We're not going to allow it to happen.
It's a good lesson that you're learning when you're young is pay attention to language. Think about the phrase gender-affirming care. No, it sounds wonderful. You're affirming a gender. That is your warning that it's something awful. Whenever the language camouflages its actual meaning, you cannot say irreversible surgery and put high-risk hormones. You say gender affirming as the positive. They do this with everything. Let's remember that, abortion is now pro-choice, because pro-choice is an affirming phrase. So you always have to look at that and see, okay, what is underneath it? It's part of the, I think, the education of your brain, learning to question the actual words they use first and foremost.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many other examples. I mean, they'll use undocumented immigrant.
Yes,
I mean,
they will correct people on other networks if you say illegal immigrant. Somebody tried to do that to me on Fox once. I can't remember who they were, Geraldo, but it is like, again, why? So it's almost like they can't tackle the issue, so they dance on the edge of the issue. And words.
They use virtue signaling, bullying over semantics.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
You don't use my word, therefore you're a bad person.
Yes.
Do you think we're getting better at language on the right?
Well, I think the great thing is that we're no longer afraid of sharing the risk. And people like you, Charlie, and Trump, people have to be the tip of the spear. A lot of people were too, you take the issue like trans. You don't want to be bullied online by people. If you say what you feel, like if you think about the athletes that were too timid to say they didn't want to change in front of a guy. They didn't want to share the risk with the Riley Gaines, the people who did take the risk. But what you're seeing is it's a natural thing. When you see somebody that you know taking a risk, you're more likely to share that risk with them. So what's happening is now, because we are sharing the risk and being able to say what we want, the language changes.
And that's a new phenomenon, Greg. So you've been coming to our events 7-8 years-ish, right?
Yeah.
And
back when I was in my early 20s.
Sure, yeah. When I was in my early 20s, not you. But, Greg, something has changed profoundly. When you first started coming to these events, first of all, the crowds were much smaller.
Right.
But the energy was different because there was campus rebellion energy. That still exists here. But culturally, Greg, it's kind of as if we're winning. Am I allowed to say that?
Yes. In fact, I believe... We talked about this, I think, the first time I was here, and I had written about this 20 years ago, about the ability to flip the script. You guys hopefully will never grow up in a time where everybody on the right was seen as evil. I mean, you kind of do now. But when I was growing up, in every movie, in every TV show, it was the person who believed in law and order, the conservative who was seen as evil. The person on the left was seen as hip and cool. This has completely flipped. A lot of it has to do with humor. Now, who are the humorless people? It's a complete flip. The least funny people on the planet are liberals. They're literally, it's hard It's hard to take a joke when you are the joke, and they cannot see that they're the joke. Meanwhile, the best thing you can do when you're in conflict with anyone is to have fun. While I watch, Charlie, when you do those, when you talk to people, you're never angry. You don't, it's not like you're judging the person, you're just having fun. It's an example that a comparison I use with when fans of Obama talk about Obama, they talk about him in solemn terms, in serious terms.
That's so true.
When people who like Trump talk about him, they're laughing. I stole this line from Michael Malice. Whenever Trump says something, I go, we don't deserve him. No matter what he does, you can't help but smile. And when you're defending him, it's fun. When you're not defending him, it's even fun. I mean, it's like, for example, he just did he posted on Truth Social about stripping Rosie, what's her name again? Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship, which is impossible. We know it's impossible. We know it's hilarious, but it makes news, and you see all the people on the liberal blog, social media, pulling their hair out. You know, autocracy, he wants to strip Rosie O'Donnell of her citizen. No, he doesn't. He's just sticking his finger in your eye, and we love every minute of it.
So let's go a step further. I want to analyze the psychology of humor a little bit more. Is it fair to say that those that can't take a joke are insecure, and that the left is actually full of a lot of people that are hyper-credentialed, overeducated, in an upper-middle-class environment, but deeply down are very insecure?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of described what they appear to be, but you want to know what's underneath it. And I think about that a lot. And I think about, when I was in high school, I was a liberal, and I think one of the things I liked about it was that we didn't have a name for it. It was virtue signaling, but it was easy status. If you wanted high status from a teacher, you push a liberal perspective in your debates or in your term papers. So the idea, excuse me, I had a burger. If what is important to you is status, I need to know that everybody around me likes me, then I will look at what is popular and I will echo that. That's how liberalism kind of works. One of the things I always tell young conservatives, like, what do I do when I'm outnumbered, when I'm there and I'm being ganged up on by 3 or 4 people? And I always say, ask them why it's so important that I agree with you. Yeah. Why do you need me? Why is it so important that I should agree with you? And then you might say, I think if you're looking for reassurance that you are right, I'm the wrong person. And it's a very simple way of, because they have to lead, they should ask themselves, why is it important that you agree with me? Because they themselves aren't sure. They are not sure. It goes to the insecurity. But it has to do with a desire to be cool, i.e. status. But they then mistake what is cool, which is they think it's rebellion, but it's actually false rebellion. What is truly rebellious is rebelling against the rebellion. That means if the guy says, look, dude, I think that the police suck. I'm going to throw rocks at ICE because I'm a rebel. The true rebel tells that guy to fuck off. Excuse my language. But so what conservatism has always been rebellion against rebellion. And that is the real risk in life, because you will be unpopular among the midwits, the lower intellect, the people who think anybody who thinks they're smarter than you isn't. And they know that. So that is why they adhere to easy status through virtue signaling that then they don't do anything about. They can talk about climate change all they want, but then if, their best friend scores first-class tickets for spring break, they're on that plane.
Well, and Greg, you said something a couple years ago when we chatted, and it's so important, which is, and I've tried to apply this rule. It doesn't apply perfectly, but when you see a social movement that continues to push forward when there is high social cost, they're worth at least listening to. Mm-hmm. So when there is a movement of people and they're getting canceled or smeared, potentially imprisoned, and they keep fighting for that thing, you should hear them out.
Yes.
And this is the point of the kids on campus where you're surrounded by libs being like, why do you think I believe? My life's not easier because of this.
Yes, and yet you reminded me of something I said that I would have completely forgotten.
You're welcome. I'm on the second part.
No, it's actually a really great point.
I know,
and it came from me. Thank you. It's like, do you ever wonder why I would risk this? Do you ever think to yourself, I'm outnumbered by you? Do you ever ask yourself, why would this person do this? Aren't you the least bit curious about that? That usually really can freeze somebody.
It's complete cognitive dissonance, right?
Yeah.
And so,
I'm glad you remembered that. See, this is the problem with getting old. I can't remember my best stuff.
That's why I'm here. I remember your stuff for you. But let's dive deeper into that. So think about it. If you're ever outnumbered, instead of talking about politics or stuff, just say, listen, my view comes at a high social cost on this college campus.
Yeah.
High social cost. How many kids here are graded differently because of your conservative views? Raise your hand. Okay. Almost every student's hand goes up. So therefore, you're making a conscious decision to suffer to some degree for a transcendent value.
Yeah.
And you should tell your lib friends or whatever, I could have comfort if I conform.
Yes.
So why don't I?
Yes. I could actually get better grades like you if I said what you said, but I'm not. Isn't that kind of interesting to you? Yeah, it's kind of like I'm pro-life, and I run into the most people I know almost all people I know in my industry are pro-choice, and I know when I know that I'm always outnumbered, but I'm always like, don't you even wonder, like, why? You seem to agree with a lot of things I say. You think that I'm a smart person? Do you think I'm just crazy on one thing? Like, oh, he's really good on the economy. He's really good on foreign policy. He can write well, but he's completely nuts on unborn children. That doesn't really logically make sense. No, it doesn't. You know what's interesting about really, really smart pro-choice people? They admit it's murder.
Oh, I find this on campus. They have to.
Yeah, they have to go, look, you know what? I'm not going to argue what it is murder, but I'm still for it. That was that was like the liberal comedian way of dealing with it. I think almost every smart comedian, when they talk about abortion, will not deny that it's murder.
And then everyone laughs at the comic club. I guess that makes it okay.
Yeah, it's okay. At least you're being honest.
But this is another important point that Greg is making. That if you have earned social trust with people in your circle, defending that view that might be seemingly unpopular can convert that whole social circle to be a conservative.
Yes.
Because they'll think, wow, this is a good person. It's not just being right, it's also character.
Yes.
Right?
This is a really good point. And, for example, if you're in an office and you're working, being an appealing person there, it's like a young person will come in and when a young person starts at work, they're looking for somebody, not necessarily a mentor, but somebody that like they can kind of identify with, make them feel at ease. And when you're that person, and every single person has that. Like when I first started working at Men's Health or at Prevention Magazine or different places, I identified. I would boil it down to this: when you'll see somebody you work with, and you go, I want what that person has. Like, what is it about them that makes them confident and strong and cool? Like, it's weird. The word cool originated from the word calm. A lot of people don't know it. It's like you're always looking for the calm person in the storm. And when you are that person, people want to know why. This is why being being politically hysterical doesn't win followers. It's like, Charlie, if you're calm, people are interested. So, but getting back to the point about character, if somebody sees that everything that you're doing is working, and then they find out that you have an opinion that they detest, like the perfect thing is Trump. It's great when the most successful person in the group, they find out is a Trump supporter, and they go, "My God, you're an idiot." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm an idiot. Have you seen where I live? Have you seen my family?" So they have to all of a sudden start reconfiguring the way they think.
Did you see that HBO, the part of that show, White Lotus or something?
Yes.
There was a 3-minute clip. I don't watch the show.
Where they found out that
the women found out that their old friend who they love and they adore, all of a sudden she's very quietly doesn't deny. Didn't say she didn't deny she voted for Trump?
Yes. Yeah.
And anyway, from a drama standpoint, it was so beautifully written.
Yeah, it was nice, and it's I think that they're coming to grips with the idea that they kind of they went too far in the world of demonizing. You're making me think of something about when I've lost friends, people that you probably know, people that I've worked with over Trump, and whenever somebody, and I'll see it in interviews, they'll ask, "What happened to Gutfeld?" And they go, "Oh man, he knew where his bread was buttered. Oh, it was his way to climb the ladder." It's I watch people try to figure out why. Why do I support Trump without ever actually honestly asking why everybody does. It's only I think the belief is only dumb people do, but when a smart person does it, it's because they're selling out.
And what's so funny is if they stopped coping,
yes,
and started understanding,
yes, which is what I did,
they would actually be in a better place.
Yeah, remember, I knew Trump before he ran. I liked him. I did not support him when he ran in I'd say 2015, but a lot of it was a coping thing. It was a personal issue with me, and I suddenly realized what is going on here. I had a sunk cost that I'd already. When you express criticism for something over and over again, and you realize you might be wrong, you don't want to let go. It's the sunk cost. It's like being in a bad marriage or a bad relationship. You think about all that effort you put into it. So that made it hard to say. But what was great and what was wonderful is that when he won, I said, "Great, he's my president. Now I can start clean." And what the reason why I was having issues with him was I fell into the trap of taking him literally, paying attention to words and not deeds. And then when he became president, it was like that. And I started using that as a mantra on my show. It's deeds, not words. It's not about his tweets. It's about, is your life getting better? And that's what completely, that framework changed me. And it made me see that I had been obsessed with something so stupid that ended up I really liked, which are his tweets.
and so the Trump phenomenon, I want to touch on two final things in our time remaining. The Democrats are trying to figure out what they're doing. I mean, look, Donald Trump controls the Democrat platform. He just has to do something. They do the opposite, right? So the Democrat platform is completely controlled by Donald Trump.
Yes, exactly. No, they will do, if he told the Democrats, "Don't punch yourself in the face," they will start smacking they'll just break their own noses. You know what it is? When you choose common sense as your higher, it's called the high ground maneuver. Let's say your opponent chooses the path of common sense. What do you choose to oppose it? Not common sense. That's what they're doing. They don't, because there's nothing. If you choose, common sense is the higher ground. There's nothing around it to stand on. So you're stuck doing really stupid things. You're on every 80 or 90, 20, 10 issue. You're choosing the bad guy. You're choosing the Maryland dad. You're choosing gangs. You're choosing pot farmers because you can't. You can't match it.
That employ child labor.
Yes.
So,
which I'm for, by the way. Those kids
really?
need to get strong. You know what I'm saying? It's underrated. Their little hands are really good with fixing watches. Clip that, please, and put that up there. Greg endorses child labor. Yes.
Greg, you will get more clips from Media Matters than me in this conversation. So, because they're clipping. So, Greg, but you live in New York City.
That is correct.
And you are witnessing the rise of an attempt by the Democrats to figure themselves out.
Yes.
I'm obviously talking about Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah.
No, but so, Mamdani.
Yeah, so, God, you guys just misunderstand the guy. They always, like, the issue with socialism is they always believe that it's, it just hasn't been perfected. Well, that was the whole point of capitalism. Capitalism doesn't have to be perfect to work. Exactly. The only way socialism can work is if it's perfect, and that's not possible. It's not possible. The thing that kills me is they keep talking about, he's really hit the chord on affordability. You cannot find one example in history where socialism has made anything affordable. It's only made things awful and good things more scarce, and therefore more expensive. So,
well, on his grocery store plan, to his credit,
I love that.
I will say, New Yorkers will lose 15 pounds in like 6 months on his grocery store plan.
I mean,
there'll be no food.
The only thing that can make the Department of Motor Vehicles worse is if they sold food.
No, that's right.
Get
your number. Wait for 2 hours for bananas.
I mean, I'm sure there are people here from like Pennsylvania where you have ABC liquor stores. I never knew that growing up in the West Coast. Then I moved to Allentown, and I never seen a government-run liquor store, and they are depressing.
I didn't know that.
You would quit drinking.
But do you know what I do encounter in New Jersey is basically pseudo-run gas stations. You have to have an attendant pump your gas.
Oh, yes.
Like, what is that? It's like the oldest regulation. You got to wait for the guy, and he's using the restroom. Like, I have to go. He's like, I think it's that law still exists.
This is why I drive straight through Jersey.
Quickly.
I was going to say another thing about, the one thing people have to Zoran. The one thing that people are overlooking is that he says police officers should not respond to crime, that they should send people who are trained in it. So when you have a subway maniac who throws a woman in front of a train or one setting him on fire, you shouldn't send the police. You should send a social worker. I think that journalists should go find these social workers he's talking about. None exist. There's no social worker, no matter how liberal they are, will ever want to go down to the subway and address a maniac. And again, it's another case of a left-winger throwing women, literally in this case, under the bus.
Under the subway. So Greg, in the couple minutes we have, there's two things. I do want to hit one. I want to hit two things quick. I want you to give kind of a send-off for the college students at the end. But first, you're a new dad.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was joking backstage. He did have his first kid finally before Social Security hit.
Yes, that was my goal. So I have a baby girl, 7 months old. At the age of 60, which is, I still don't know.
Impressive. I'm like,
but you know what the
for
thing?
Multiple reasons. That's
it is multiple. But I think that, I realized that I would have been a lousy dad 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And then I don't know what it was. I just realized I think I can be a good dad now. I don't know what it was. That's my only explanation for why I just never thought I would be. Well, I party pretty hard. So I think I had to now I'm a normal person. I'm going to do, I can do it now. But I was a very selfish, I'd say in my 30s. I think that's, there's your advice. The most important thing you can do is don't be selfish. I think I led a fairly selfish life in my 20s and my 30s. And the most important thing, probably the most selfish thing you can do is to be of service to other people, because the high you get from that is amazing. And it's going to make you a better person. I think most of my life was a purely transactional. What can I get out of things? And I think that's why I think I felt like I've grown a lot in the last. Boy, I'm getting serious. Shut up, Greg.
So let's go deeper, Greg.
All right, Dr. Phil.
How has it changed?
Greg?
I
have a doll here. I'd like to show you.
Yes, exactly. But all kidding aside, I mean, has it given you more purpose to your life?
Well, yeah, and I mean, you end up being a cliche. That's the thing. It's like the cliche is the person who says, my God, when I had a child, it changed my life. It's a cliche because it's true. It's what's called a transformational experience, which is like you don't know what it's like until you do it. And it's a shame because there's a lot of people who, terminate children without ever knowing that if they had the child, they would have thanked God they didn't listen to themselves. But that's, Well,
and I'll say, Greg, I want to just say, we watch you. Thank you for standing for the unborn. The fight for pro-life is more important than ever. So truly.
You got it.
No, that's really big. Final thoughts, Greg.
Final thoughts. Well, I think like the most important thing, and you're kind of already doing it, is to have fun. You're the fun generation. This isn't like, I didn't grow up with this. As a right winger, I had to hide, and all the left wingers were the cool kids. Now it's flipped. So enjoy the flip.
Greg Gutfeld, everybody.
Thank you.